August 6, 1945. A single bomb falls from the sky over Hiroshima, Japan. In an instant, a city vanishes in a flash of light hotter than the sun. 3 days later, Nagasaki suffers the same fate. Over 200,000 people dead, many vaporized on the spot, others lingering in agony from burns. Radiation, an unimaginable horror. The United States becomes the first and so far only nation to use nuclear weapons in war. President Harry Truman calls it a harnessing of the basic power of the universe to end World War II. But was it justified? A necessary evil to save millions more lives, or an unforgivable atrocity that crossed a moral line humanity can never uncross? Welcome to Wibbly Wobbly History, where we dive into the twists and turns of the past. Today, we explore one of WWII's most explosive debates, the atomic bombings of Japan. Buckle up. This one's going to spark some fire in the comments. Let's get into it. To understand the decision, we have to rewind to the brutal Pacific theater. Japan attacks Pearl Harbor in 1941, pulling the US into the war. What follows is a grueling island-hopping campaign. Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. American casualties mount over 100,000 dead or wounded in Okinawa alone. Japan fights fanatically, with kamikaze pilots and civilians trained to resist invasion. Meanwhile, in secret, the Manhattan Project races to build the atomic bomb. Cost: $2 billion, that's $30 billion today. Led by J. Robert Oppenheimer, it has a weapon of unprecedented power equivalent to 15,000 tons of TNT for little boy Hiroshima and 21,000 for fat man Nagasaki. By July 1945, Germany has surrendered, but Japan refuses. At the Potsdam Conference, Allies issue an ultimatum: unconditional surrender or face prompt and utter destruction. Japan ignores it, still hoping for better terms through Soviet mediation. Truman, new to the presidency after FDR's death, weighs his options. An invasion of Japan Operation Downfall looms, with estimates of up to 1 million Allied casualties and millions more Japanese deaths. On August 6th, the Enola Gay drops little boy over Hiroshima, a city of 350,000 mostly civilians, but also a military hub. The blast kills 70,000 to 80,000 instantly. Total deaths reach 140,000 by year's end from radiation sickness, cancers, and injuries. Buildings melt. Shadows burn into walls. Survivors describe a Picodon flashbulb that blinded and scarred for life. Japan's leaders debate surrender, but hardliners hold out. Supporters argue the bombs were a necessary evil. First, they ended the war swiftly. Without them, Operation Downfall would have been a bloodbath. U.S. estimates: 500,000 to 1 million American deaths, up to 10 million Japanese. Firebombing raids like Tokyo's March 1945 already killed 100,000 in one night, more than either atomic bomb initially. The atomic strikes were just more efficient. Truman believed Japan wouldn't surrender without total shock. Potsdam was ignored. Even after Hiroshima, some generals wanted to fight on. The bombs forced the emperor's intervention. Historian Samuel Walker notes, it brought Japan to her knees and ended the horrible war. Plus, context: Japan's atrocities, Nanking Massacre, Unit 731 experiments, POW abuses justified harsh measures to prevent more suffering. A 2025 Pew poll shows 35% of Americans still see it as justified, viewing it as saving net lives in a total war. But critics call it an unforgivable atrocity. Why target civilians? Hiroshima and Nagasaki weren't pure military sites. They were cities full of women, children, elders. International law hate conventions condemned indiscriminate bombing. The radiation aftermath, slow, agonizing deaths, was uniquely cruel, leading to calls of war crime. Many argue Japan was already defeated, blockaded, bombed out, and the Soviet invasion was the real tipping point. The classified docs show some US leaders knew Japan sought peace via Soviets, but wanted unconditional terms. Peter Kuznick argues it was a power play to intimidate the USSR, sparking the Cold War. Racism? Some historians point to anti-Japanese propaganda versus reluctance to bomb European cities. Only 14% of Japanese today see it justified. Oppenheimer himself regretted, "We have known sin." A 2025 Pew survey, 31% of Americans say it wasn't justified, up from past decades as revisionist views grow. What were the alternatives? A demonstration bomb on an uninhabited island. Truman considered it but feared failure or Japan not believing it. Blockade and continued firebombing. That could have dragged on, killing more via starvation. Invasion horrific, but perhaps negotiable surrender terms could have worked. What if no bombs? Does the war end? By November 1945 anyway? Does the Cold War start differently without nuclear precedent? Recent books like Road to Surrender by Evan Thomas argue the bombs were key, but others say Soviet entry sealed it. The debate rages military necessity or moral shortcut. 80 years on, the atomic bombings shaped our world. Nuclear proliferation, arms races, ethical debates on warfare. Truman never regretted it publicly, but privately stopped further bombs for moral reasons. Per 2025 analyses. So, was it justified, necessary evil, or unforgivable? That's for you to decide. Drop your thoughts below. From history class, family stories, or your own views, what side are you on? Did it save lives overall? Was there a better way? Let's debate in the comments respectfully. Of course, if you enjoyed this dive into WWII's darkest decision, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more wibbly-wobbly history. Share your WWII topics ideas too. Until next time, remember, history isn't black and white, it's a bomb waiting to explode. Stay curious.